After studying this module, you shall be able to identify the concepts of strategy, know the types of business strategies, identify relationship between business strategies and human resource strategies, and analyze the concepts and models of business human resource strategies. Let us now first understand the concept of strategy. The pressure on companies to constantly enhance performance is more than ever before. As we get into the year 2015, it is ever more apparent that the results of change processes are expected today in half the time as they were 3 years ago. Nevertheless, competition is the key that drives businesses to constantly realign themselves with the dynamics of change. Several studies have attempted to capture the vision of the workplace of the future, and what comes to mind is the profile of employees have undergone a dramatic change. For few business analysts predicted that marketing and finance function will cease to exist in its contemporary form in times to come. But now we do hear the same thing about human resource as well. However, despite numerous changes, there is a definite link between corporate and business strategies and strategies related to people function. In fact, McKinsey's 7S framework had almost 20 years back emphasized the need for aligning the 7 organizational variables such as the superordinate goals, strategy structure, systems, staff, skills and style for organizational effectiveness. But as time elapsed, the relevance of people to the organizational success has multiplied. Since businesses have become all the more knowledge and technology driven, the term strategy used for the first time in English in the year 1656 has been derived from the Greek word strategos, which means commander-in-chief, where the word stratos means army and agen means to lead, and in its military context it means to produce large-scale operations. In literal sense, therefore, the term strategy means the art of the general. In management context, the term strategy is remotely connected to its traditional meaning. It is now often used loosely to mean a number of things such as 1. A plan or a course of action, decision or rule. 2. A pattern related to organization's activities which are derived from the policies, objectives and goals of the organization. 3. Strategic positioning of the firm, making trade-offs between different activities and creating a fit amongst these activities by minimizing the gaps. 4. And lastly, denote an activity that top managers perform in order to accomplish an organizational goal. In simple terms, strategy is the means to achieve the organizational objectives. It encompasses all the activities referred above. It is undertaken by the upper echelon of the organization and requires constant interaction between the 3 poles, that are environment, resources and the active involvement of the senior management. An avid researcher, Dr. Vladimir Wind, defines strategy as a system of finding, formulating and developing a doctrine that will ensure long-term success. It is followed faithfully. Hence, the 4 steps summed up in the process of strategic management are: number 1, environmental scanning; number 2, formulation of the strategies. Number 3, implementation of the strategies. And 4, and lastly, evaluation of organizational activities. The first step is environmental scanning, which incorporates SWOT analysis. SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. That is, look at the organizational strengths and weaknesses as well as scan the external environment for its opportunities and threats. Strategic formulation, the second step, involves senior managers to identify the strategic factors and make the right choices. The third step is strategic implementation, which focuses on the techniques of implementing the strategies. Here, the leadership plays a vital role since the success and failure of any strategy is attributed to the leader. The last step is strategy evaluation, which focuses on identifying the gap between the actual change and the desired change and how much the change has been brought in the performance. Let us now study various types of strategies. There are multiple types of business strategies that exist within a corporation, which have been mentioned below. A, the corporate level strategy, B, the business level strategy, and C, the functional level strategy. Let us discuss these three one by one. The corporate level strategy. The corporate level strategy focuses on the corporation's overall direction, that is, the general philosophy towards growth and the management of its various units. This strategy targets the question, what business are we in? In case the corporation has several units, then the corporate level strategy focuses on designing the investment plan and transforming the corporate resources into attractive business units, making strategic action plans to improve the performance of those units that the corporation had first initialized, designing strategies so that all the units work cohesively as a team in order to improve the overall performance and the strategies dealing with expansion and diversification. Let us now talk about business level strategy. Business level strategy deals with the decisions as well as actions related to each business unit. The main question that this strategy addresses is how to compete. The focus of this strategy is to make each business unit extremely competitive in its marketplace. Each business unit designs a strategy that is appropriate for its own unit. On the basis of this, Miles and Snow in the year 1984 identified 4 modes of strategic operations, namely defenders, prospectors, analyzers and reactors. Defenders are companies that have limited product line. In such companies, the management focuses only on improving the efficiency of their existing operations. Hence, senior managers are more likely to be myopic in their vision and innovation is quite limited. Prospectors can be defined as those companies which have broad product lines. Such companies focus on innovation and exploring market opportunities. The senior managers are likely to give preference to creativity rather than efficiency. Analyzers can be defined as companies that work in at least 2 very different product market areas, out of which one is stable while the other is variable. Thus, The senior managers are likely to emphasize on efficiency in the stable areas and innovation in the variable areas. Reactors have been defined as companies that do not share a consistent strategy with respect to the structure and culture of the company. In such companies, the senior managers react to the environmental changes and make strategic adjustments. As per Miles and Snow, the competing companies may adopt any of the four modes of strategies which may correspond to the combination of structure, culture and processes related to that strategy. Widely cited Harvard professor Michael Porter identifies three principles underlining business strategy, that is, creating a unique and valuable position, making trade-offs by choosing what not to do, and creating fit by aligning company activities with one another to support the chosen strategy. Basic understanding of these strategies will lead to a development of a good strategic business plan. The business strategy can be further elaborated into cost leadership, which refers to having the lowest per unit, that is average cost, in the industry, the lowest cost relative to your rivals. Successful retailers rely on the cost strategy. Firms such as Walmart and Costco excel at implementing cost strategy, where the focus is to provide products at economic prices to the customers. Differentiation. While entering a new business or planning for an expansion, you need to determine what it is that makes your product or service different from the rest. Varied approaches can be by following different designs, unique brand image, added and unique features, new and innovative technology. Focus strategies. The focus strategy is really a hybrid of cost and differentiation strategies. This strategy states that in a few ways a firm is really good about managing costs, and in other ways this firm is really good about differentiating products or services. A firm may choose to take this hybrid approach because it understands a particular audience or niche customers or category of products. Let us now understand the functional level strategy. It is related to the major functional operations within a particular business unit. It includes designing strategies in the field of varied operations such as research and development, marketing, human resources, finance, and the others. A multi-divisional global corporation can be successful only if these strategies are operable at three levels, that is, corporate level, business level, and functional level. Thus, they are classified as hierarchy of strategies. We shall now discuss the relationship between business strategy and human resource strategy. The concepts and models shall be discussed. HRM strategy is closely associated with the business strategy. Hence, a comprehensive human resource strategy plays a pivotal role in the achievement of an organization's overall strategic objectives and visibly illustrates that the human resources function fully understands and supports the direction in which the organization is moving. A comprehensive HR strategy will also support the other specific strategic objectives undertaken by marketing, financial, operational and technology departments. While HR's contribution to strategy may sometime go unnoticed, 70% of CEOs want their HR directors to be a key player in strategic planning, according to a 2012 Economist Intelligence Unit study. This can further be seen at the given link. Mark Zendam, Senior Vice President of Organizational Effectiveness and HR Operations at media and information firm Thomson Reuters, believes that HR strategy is a people strategy designed to enable business goals and objectives. You can't create an HR strategy in isolation and keep it internally focused on HR activities and deliverables. He says, rather, you must understand where the business is heading, what kind of talent is needed, in what countries or for what customers, and at what cost. From there, you can develop a strategy around your people to help the business achieve its goals and objectives. Petrisot, in his work, How HR Can Master Strategy, cites the report of Corporate Research Forum. The CRF states in its imminent report, developing a strategy HR approach, there is a recurring need for HR to ensure that there is clear line of sight between business strategy and HR action. The report states that HR has to interact with the business to understand and make an input to corporate strategy and deliver it. The CRF cites 4 strategic roles for HR, which will differ depending on the organization. It also suggests a strategic framework for constructing an HR strategy, encapsulating areas such as HR role, planning, action, and organizational capability. Hence, an HR strategy should aim to capture the people element of what an organization is hoping to achieve in the medium to long term, ensuring that it has the right people in place, it has the right mix of skills, it has employees display the right attitudes and behaviors, and that employees are developed in the right way. Let us now take an overview of the conceptual study of the business strategy and HRM strategy links. In the late 1980s, John Purcell made a significant contribution in the field of business HRM strategy. He identified the upstream and downstream type of strategic decisions. The upstream, also known as the first order strategic decision, is concerned with the long-term direction of the corporation. For instance, the first order decision may be to take over another enterprise. For example, a Japanese company acquiring a car manufacturing company in India is the first order decision. Now, here the second set of considerations also apply, which concern the extent to which the new operation is to be integrated with or separated from then existing operations. These are classified as downstream or second order strategic decisions. Finally, the differing HRM approaches are called the third order strategic decisions. A range of business HRM links have been identified and classified in terms of a proactive reactive continuum and in terms of environment human resource strategy linkages. In the proactive orientation, the HRM professionals have a seat at the strategic table, and he or she is actively engaged in strategy formulation. On the other hand, the reactive orientation is looked upon as one where the HRM function is fully subservient to the corporate and business level strategy. In this, the corporate and business level strategies finally determine the HRM policies and practices. Also, the business strategies are formulated without the involvement of the HRM professionals. The HRM policies and practices are then implemented to support the chosen competitive strategy. In this sense, the practice of strategic HRM is focused on challenging assignment of the matching the philosophy, policies, programs, practices and processes. That is, the 5 P's in such a way that it stimulates and reinforces different employee roles, behaviors appropriate for each competitive strategy. The relevance of environment as a determinant of HRM policies and practices has been projected through models. Bamberger and Phillips in the year 1991 model explains the links between the 3 poles, that is human resource strategy, environmental influences and business strategy. The human resource strategy, as mentioned earlier, is related to all those activities which affect the behavior of individuals in their efforts to formulate and implement the strategic needs of the business. The environment plays a major determinant of HR strategy. The HR strategy is influenced by contextual variables such as the markets, technology, national government policies, trade unions and the others. Vertical fit occurs where HR strategies are congruent with business strategies. Let us now throw some light on the first generation HR transformation model. As per the Deloitte report, there is a definite link between the business strategies and the HR strategies. The HR processes addressed in the first generation transformation can generally be grouped into 3 distinct time frames as discussed as under. Between 1995 to 1998, being the first phase of HR transformation, it emphasized on the core HR transactions like compensation, benefits, payroll and the performance management, that is, employee evaluations. In this phase, the companies established a single global process for each type of service and developed a global integrated HRMS to handle all core transactions. They gave employees and managers the necessary tools to help handle their own routine HR inquiries and transactions. The second phase was between the year 1999 and 2001. In this phase, which is phase 2, the companies began to focus on the employee experiences and looked for ways to enhance their customer service capabilities. The focus in this phase was to develop the capabilities needed to answer any HR related question and an employee or a manager might pose. The third phase was between 2002 and 2005. In this third phase, the first generation HR transformation extended the effort into recruiting and compliance and put a renewed emphasis on measurement and reporting. Let us now understand the HR service delivery model. The first generation transformation model led to the development of an HR service delivery model which can serve as a foundation for the next generation HR transformation. This model focused on three components, namely the customers, the roles, and the enablers. We shall now focus on the challenging role of HR as an outcome of linkages between business strategies and HR strategies. Companies are promoting an environment that enables the virtual and global teams to work in a collaborative manner and thus thrive. Gellert J. Walkinshaw and Walsh B. observed that traditional HR transformation was driven by its ability to generate cost-saving solutions. Today, companies want HR transformations refocused on the most important growth and business opportunities. Bursin J. observed that in 2013, more and more companies will see the value of what we call as agile management and agile HR. Organizations now operate as flattened cross-functional teams, creating demand for less top-down HR and management styles. This is forcing changes in performance and goal management, performance management, reward strategies, and leadership skills. Our research shows that companies which revisit goals for employees quarterly, for example, outperform those which set goals annually by more than 30%. High-performing managers play a hands-on role, redefining the role of leadership. Witness the growth of cloud-based technology and service companies which are rapidly disrupting more traditional organizations. These fast movers focus heavily on decentralized, hands-on technical leadership, which is a new model of HR will emerge, one which focuses on global delivery of core services, talent services, as well as what we call as strategic enablement services, and technology will play a much larger role. Of all the programs HR executives want to improve, our research shows that global leadership is number one. And our research also shows that companies with mature leadership development strategies dramatically outperform their peers. Now, the focus is on continuous capability development. In the year 2013, we see organizations focused on on-demand training, coaching, simulations, and management led on the job programs. Spending on corporate training is up 12% by last year, and more than 60% of all L&D spending is now spent on non-classroom content and programs. The world of blended learning has become very real, and this year companies need to focus on their learning architecture, standardizing technology platforms, and developing the skills to build game and simulation based programs. This shift will enable the company to be progressive, and it will be interesting to see how HR meets the challenges. We shall now recapitulate what we have learned so far in this module. The impact of business strategies over HRM strategies has dramatically changed over the last 10 years. This chapter focuses on the origin as well as the relationship between business strategies and HR strategies. It has examined different levels of strategic management. Strategic management has been defined as the pattern of decisions and actions that are taken by the upper echelons of the company. The next stage of discussion was how strategy is formulated at three levels, which are corporate level, business level, and functional level. Further, we explained at length the relationship between business strategy and HR strategy. Strategic HRM is an integration process of both HRM and corporate strategy. It is a long-term process and relates to the external environment of the business. Strategy HRM provides both financial and non-financial benefits. Two orientations were discussed, which are the proactive orientation and the reactive orientation. In the proactive orientation, the HRM professional has a seat at the strategic table and he or she is actively engaged in strategy formulation. On the other hand, the reactive orientation is looked upon as one where the HRM function is fully subservient to corporate and business level strategy. To take the point further, the first generation HR transformation model was explained. When we look into HR transformations, they initially focused on making HR operations more efficient and effective through process standardization and technology. The next generation of HR transformation is more precisely linked to corporate strategy and to creating business value through HR services that address a company's most critical strategic challenges.